Hello, everyone. I do apologize for cutting out there briefly. I did have a little bit of a problem. I got it taken care of, so we're going to just drive on. AI. What the heck is it? What are we talking about when we talk about AI? AI is a bunch of things, and depending on who you talk to, you get a different answer about what it really is. Overwhelmingly, what we hear when we have these conversations start is AI is theft. AI is stealing from people. I don't want to use it. It's theft. Well, AI is a lot more than just large language models. It is overwhelmingly more than just large language models. So when you think about AI, don't think, oh, it's just one thing or another. It is many, many, many things. And if you look at, is it going to go away? Is it a fad? Is it, whatever? It's not going away. And if you look at technology over time, those who had successful careers kept up with technological changes, and those that didn't have successful careers tended to kind of not keep up with them. So you have two choices as I see it going forward in the future is you can either learn the tools that are out there or you can not learn the tools that are out there, but you can't have it both ways. So what do I mean by AI? And a lot of times people get caught in this argument and nothing ever gets kind of solved of it. And why do I care if anybody understands it or not, right? I work with it every day. It only matters if I understand it, right? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, if it is misunderstood and it is something I work with, that's kind of a problem with people in the field, right? Because when I say, hey, I work in AI, people have this instant gut reaction because people who actually understand it don't come out and talk. And inevitably, what happens is only two things are really talked about in the space, and that is either large language models or image generation. But there's a lot more to it than that. So if you look, the top two up here, and this is sort of Grok's version of breaking down what the percentages are in the industry. And I don't really agree with those percentages. Those might be for right now, but if you look 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years from now, it ain't gonna be like this. It's going to be a much different breakdown. And I think large language models and image generation are going to be there, but they're going to be smaller. And I think, and it's not because those are not important; they are, but it's because the other ones are going to be so much bigger. So audio and speech AI, robotics and automation, predictive analytics, where I work, and multimodal AI. Now, what the heck does all that mean in a giant pile? And why do we care? Because mostly when people are talking about these AI problems and theft or arguing over whether or not we care or it's real or whatever, they're only talking about image generation and large language models. And that's like going to the grocery store and saying, I'm only going to look at part of the grocery store and then I'm going to complain about the entire grocery store without actually looking at it. And the other thing that does is says, hey, the economic impact of it is going to be so great. If I don't think about all of it, I'm kind of not looking at the big picture. And the big picture is really what matters. So let's go through these one at a time. Large language models. These are things like Grok and ChatGPT, where you give it a prompt and it throws you back some stuff. And there's a lot of criticism of these that say, well, it's stealing, it's theft. There are models out there that just do broad stroke, grab things off the net. Now, I read books, other people read books, I've written books, I'm influenced by certain writers, I'm not influenced by others. Is it theft? Is it not? That's for people smarter than me to decide. But there are models out there, including on the image generation side, that limit the training to uncopyrighted material or things with expired copyrights. So at a certain age, copyrights on anything expire. And certain materials are uncopyrightable or are uncopyrighted. And there are models out there that use completely open source, public domain material, and they're pretty competitive with the image generation tool and the large language model tools that are used today. How competitive? Well, let me pull one up. I actually did a couple of image generations using one of the models that are pure public domain. They're not owned by anybody. They are either from copyright expired or from public domain material. And you can still generate images that look a lot like this is one of them. This is one of the ones I generated using one of those models. This is another one. This is another one. So you can generate fairly decent images from tools that are not using copyrighted material in their models. So they're using copyright expired or public domain stuff, and they're very specific about where they allow the training to happen. And what that does is it gives you sort of this safety net that says, hey, I'm not violating anybody's copyright. I'm not, doing whatever. And some of those models, including the one I used there, if you say, do it in this style of, whoever, it gets really persnickety about what it'll let you do and what it won't let you do. So if you say, hey, draw me an image of Will Smith riding a camel through the desert. Well, it's not going to do that because it's going to say, Will Smith is a real person. I can't do that. Some of those models are like that. And those are the ones keeping up with everything that's out there that are on the other side of it, and doesn't violate any copyright. So is it theft? Nope, it's not. And it's still working. So it solves the problem without causing an additional problem. Now, by the way, that tool, I actually asked it to do some more things. I asked it to do some things in a different style, because if you follow my accounts, I like fantasy and thriller books, but I asked it to do some steampunk style castles. Those are also from that same tool. So it's not just it does different styles as well if you ask it to. Now, ChatGPT, Grok, same thing. Depending on how you train it, they're all competitive with one another. There are models out there that don't use any kind of copyrighted material in the training model. And to date, even court decisions have said those things are not violating because they do make changes. Now, a lot of people will come at you and say, oh yeah, but I asked it for this and it came back with this dumbass answer. Okay, great. But, ChatGPT, Grok, all these things that do image and text generation, it does it so fast that if it comes up with a rough draft, or let's say you're me and you're trying to prepare a document to send out to 10 people for describing a piece of technology, can it do a first draft faster than I could ever do a first draft? Absolutely. Can it take the place of an entry-level design engineer? Absolutely. Can they write code? Some of them are actually really good at writing code. I gave it a very good software spec one day, and it dumped out a couple hundred lines of code that executed well the first time, did what I wanted it to. And that's a whole lot faster than I could have gotten any human anywhere to write it. I did have to give it a good software spec, but the same with the human, right? And there's people out there who will criticize and go, yeah, but you have to debug it. I got to debug the human now, right? So that's not really a net negative for me. So these things are not things to be feared, but they are things to say, if you're not ready and willing and able to use them, you're probably going to lose your position to somebody who is. Now, what does that mean economically speaking? Well, those two tools alone have the ability to go off and really kind of do some interesting things, economically speaking, to various career fields. But let's look at some of the other ones. Now, excuse me, it's a Sunday afternoon. I have my strawberry shake, and as I talk too much, I need something to drink. And who doesn't like a good strawberry shake? Now, the audio and speech AI. Text-to-speech has been around for a while. You might say, oh, that's okay. That's allowed. I use it on my phone. I use it on my phone too. And I really like it. Text to speech or speech to text, man, it's great. My phone will actually read text messages to me. I will talk to it and write a text message so that I don't have to sit there and type. Save a lot of time. And I have even, as a writer, used speech to text to write, because I can do that faster than I can type, because sometimes my brain gets in front of my fingers. And it has sped my typing a great deal. So it makes people more productive. So let's think about that for a second. If you are a big company and you have a bunch of technical writers that have to get through technical writing on describing how to use something, you might only need 2 where you used to need 5, right? So the economic impact of that one's pretty obvious. Now, add to that, and this is audio and speech AI, there have been companies, including McDonald's, beta testing having this replace people at the drive-thru. And as soon as they did that, of course, there were 12 YouTubers out there who went, oh, look, I can confuse the AI over at McDonald's. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, but you can confuse the human too. So is it perfect? No. Is it getting there? Absolutely. And as they beta tested it, they've learned they're not giving up on this technology, because let's think about this for a second. If you're McDonald's or if you are, let's say, every fast food restaurant in the world, and you have a chance to replace all of your drive-through workers with an AI bot, you might want to do that, right? Because it saves you a lot of money. Well, how much money? Well, let's go look up some stuff together while we're doing this. This is fun part of doing things live, so you never know the answer you're going to get, right? So let's take a quick look. And yeah, you can see my screen. How many, I don't know the answer to this, how many fast food restaurants in the United States alone? 216,000 fast food restaurants, which is a slight increase from last year. 200,000. Okay. So let's say you've got 5 people working at each one throughout the week that take orders at the drive-thru. And you can now replace them with an AI that you don't have to pay, that you pay a service fee for. Maybe you bought it outright. You only have to do a little bit of maintenance. Maybe you got 4 or 5 guys that run around maintaining it, but you just got rid of 1 million employees. That is a huge cost savings for any fast food restaurant. 1 million coast to coast, wiped out right off the top, right? And that's just fast food. Imagine how many other places you can use that same technology. And like I said, I'm not trying to be alarmist. I'm just trying to say, when you look at these technologies, it's not just about art. It's just not about writing. And we've already established throughout this live stream that being theft, there's models out there where it's not. And, you can deny all you want, but man, the stuff is not going away. All right. Now let's go back to our little screen here. What else is there? Robotics and autonomous stuff. Now, reinforced learning and computer vision. Right now, there's 20 or 25% of the market. Again, let's go with fast food. There's a McDonald's near me that is 100% run by electronics. There's like 2 employees who just feed food into the robots, and the robots do the rest of it. Everything from take the order to deliver the order. They prepare the food, they put it in the bag, they hand it out the window. It is 100% automated. You pull in that McDonald's, you pull out the other side. It's over in White Rock, Texas, I think. And your food was, other than putting your food in the machine, getting it ready for the robot, your food was never touched by human hands, and you won't talk to a person. If you're a fast food chain and you have the ability to do that for a low one-time fee compared to the enormous amount of money it costs to hire humans, guess which way you're going to go. That is another example of AI and automation, reinforced learning, computer vision, that's in the marketplace. And you can either learn how to use that stuff and you can be part of that, or you can say, oh, I don't like it and I'm going to yell about it. But, fast food, yeah, it's getting there, Daniel. They have beta tested it in a few places and they're getting closer. It comes down to, let's put it in a few and try it, and then you spin it out everywhere, right? You don't ever launch this stuff huge at first. You run beta test. And the one that's been operating near me has been operating for almost 1.5 years now, I think. So, if McDonald's is doing it, you guarantee you Wendy's, everybody else going down the list is coming close as well. I'm surprised places like Sonic still exist. Sonic is not paying me, by the way. I want to point that out. But I do like their strawberry shakes. So I stopped by today because it's kind of warm here. Now, predictive analytics. This is the one I work in. What that does is that lets you take an incredibly complicated data set, a very messy data set, however messy you want to call it, and predict, computer vision. Forgot one more on the computer vision side. Let's go back to that for a second. Now, computer vision does things that, you might not think of as AI or think of as important, but you do have an opportunity to use them to do things that normally you'd have to hire somebody to do, or you'd have to hire a team of people to do. So let's say you're a social media management company and you have to hire a group of people to load pictures and put this up on the web for this person, figure out the right hashtags, the right keywords, all that kind of stuff. Image analysis has come an enormously long way. And you can now do that job with far fewer people. Full disclosure, this is my company. I'm not using it to try to market to you because One for All Social is a company I founded and I own, but it has a tool in it that makes it easier for me to demonstrate this because we use this on our side. So what that lets you do is it lets you load an image and analyze it for hashtags. And for some reason, it's not coming up. So what it does is you put an image in there and it analyzes that image and it says, hey, look, it's not just optical character recognition. It says, hey, that's a spider, that's a castle, that's a wizard, that's a whatever. And my kids are using my bandwidth or my stuff will be coming up pretty fast. And that eliminates the need of somebody having to go in there and look at a picture and decide what it is and all that other stuff. That also eliminates the need for a lot of security guards going, hey, is that a person, a dog, or cat, or whatever, right? So you can make people far more accurate in their jobs by giving them that tool. And it's out there and it's working today. And it's not even a big challenge to get it working today. We integrated it pretty quickly. Now, let's go back to our list here. Predictive analytics, I think, is what we're up to. The predictive analytics side, what that means is you take a very, 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 very messy data set and you get it to make sense and you kind of predict where it's going to go. Now, normally you'd have analysts do this kind of thing. Merrill Lynch, all the big stockbroking houses used to do this. Now, for a couple of years, they've been using these groups. They used to call them quants. Now they're using high-speed trading techniques where they're using algorithms to do it. Well, that's a predictive analytic. You're predicting where a stock's going to go because you're not going to buy it based on a computer going, oh, maybe. You want a really good answer to that, right? You want no bias in that answer. You want to really know where it's going. So predictive analytic will allow you to do that and do that hyper accurately for incredibly complicated data sets. One of the ones I feel that actually is on my social media tool site lets you put in your post, it analyzes your post, and says, here's the hashtags you should use to get the most views. And it's a very, very interesting tool because it doesn't make you guess, right? It says, these are the ones, according to analysis, that'll get you the most views per hour. And that's a predictive analytic. But if you think back to just social media management companies or marketing companies, they have to have people go through and figure that out. Well, now you click a button, boom, I don't need the people, right? Predictive analytics can also be used for things like the real estate market. Things like the weather is a giant predictive analytic. Things like, hey, farmers, if you plant this crop, you'll get better yields. That's a predictive analytic. Those tools used to be teams and teams and teams and teams of people. Now it's an AI tool. I'm not sure which one of these Grok is using, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to use a predictive analytic or a neural network to go in and try to look at different parts of the government. I don't want to get political, but Grok is using tools, and this is part of what they're doing. I know they're using a large language model, but predictive analytics is another one, and that's actually another tool that like elections. If you want to predict where an election is going to go, use a predictive analytic. Get enough data, throw it in there, and you could pop out the right answer on the other side. If you are a marketing company, I can predict sales. So if you want to predict, if you're trying to sell a product, you give me enough data, I can predict how much of that you have to produce in order to not run out, or conversely, not have a whole ton of them left over, right? So both of those are bad things. And those are predictive analytics. And those used to be teams and teams and teams of people. Now it's an algorithm, right? And it's better and faster and cheaper than the people. Multimodal AI, you got text, images, audio integration, putting all that other stuff in these different categories together is a multimodal answer. And that's not too much of the market yet, but that's growing. So you see, when you deal with AI, it's not just large language models and image generators. It's a whole bunch of other stuff that you don't really think about. But the economic impact of those things are massive, potential economic impact. So, it's like anything else. If you're a artist, if you're a mechanic, if you're, you pick it, if you work in construction, keep up with the latest tool sets or don't, it's on kind of up to you. But the companies that use those tool sets are going to be able to produce products better, faster, cheaper, and more efficiently than everybody else. So those tool sets aren't going away. It's going to drive the price of a lot of goods down. It's also going to put a lot of people out of work, but that's sort of a byproduct of driving the cost down. Now, what does that mean economically? Well, I'm a physicist. I don't know. But I can tell you that these things are not going away. The large language models and the image generation, you're starting to see tools pop up. I use one every day that is solely trained on uncopyrighted or copyright expired material, and it's very picky about that. So, and you're getting, as we saw, images that are just as impressive as the ones that are not are done by just general training. So, there are versions out there that are not violating anybody's copyright anywhere. So the stuff is not going away. People can yell and scream about it, but you should really take a look very carefully at what all it encompasses, because it is far, far, far more than just large language models or image generation. Now, this is Sunday afternoon. I didn't really, go through a whole lot of, hey, let's do a ton of prep for a larger discussion. Throughout this week, on my different channels, I will be doing a much deeper dive on each one of these independently. So if you watch my channels, probably Monday is going to be probably Monday afternoon somewhere is going to be large language models. Tuesday is going to be image generation. Then we'll go to audio and speech AI, robotics and automation. Go down the list throughout the week. So I'll probably tie multimodal in with something else, but I'll try to get all these in this week. But if you have questions about them, drop me a line. I don't hide. I'm on pretty much every social media platform out there, and I am pretty easy to find. So we'll talk to everybody soon. Thanks for dropping by.